Nations Incorporated. You're watching Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz. My in-studio guest this evening, really excited to have him, actually, a relative, Dr. Michael Lujan Bavacqua. Hapaday. Thank you very much for coming on and making time. I know earlier you had submitted testimony in the Guam legislature. I saw you there. I said, I hope you cut your talk down so you can be on my show tonight. But thank you very much for coming on. Mike is Hagu. You are actually the chairman of the Independence Task Force under the Commission of Decolonization. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. That being said, where are we at in regards to moving forward on our political self-determination, and then after that, where are the independence movement in the quest for, I guess, the education issues regarding that?
Well, with the Commission on Decolonization, we started off strong at the start of Calvo's term. Mm-hmm. You know, we were starting off strong. We were meeting regularly, and there was a lot of talk, but in recent months, we've kind of slowed down. It's been hard to get quorum. So every couple of months we have a meeting, but not enough people show up, so we can't have any official business. It's kind of difficult, too, because right now there's no budgets. There's no budget for any of the task forces, and so each of the three task forces, independent, statehood, free association, we're all just trying to do what we can, you know, out of our own time, out of our own pockets. Sure. And so for the other two task forces, you know, they're kind of waiting for money. They're saying, you know, we want to start educating the public, but in the past we got a budget. We could have an office. You know, we could have ads in the newspaper. You know, we could do things. And what are we supposed to do?
Where are we at in the promise of, I think, to the tune of about $300,000 of the promise from the Department of Interior that I guess once was kind of carved out for this particular issue. I mean, is that still alive?
This was part of the frustration of the commission was that we were sort of counting on that money, and we would hear bits and pieces from DOI about the money, like where's it going to go, how we could get it, but we never got anything concrete. And so for months, me and some of the commission members, we were giving documents to them, we were giving them proposals and stuff, and we just never heard anything back. And sort of then Tony Babauta resigned, and we kind of just assumed that it was kind of a dead issue now. And
so it's a deader issue as point. So again, you know, we're coming up to budget hearings here, the 2014 budget hearings. Obviously, again, when Commission on Decolonization comes up, it's going to be funding the office, not necessarily funding the quests and the educational process that will be divvied up between the three different statuses as they go out there and educate the community, right?
Yeah, and so that's why we're, you know, for independence, our task force is a bit younger than the other task forces. Sure. Because the other task forces, you have Joe Garrido, you got Eddie Duenas / Eloy Hara, they switch back and forth, and you know they've been in the game for a long time, and they've kind of, I think in my opinion, you know, they've kind of become disillusioned because for so many years they've been pushing for this, and there's no money, and people lose interest, and then previous administration didn't really support the process. And so in independence, we're kind of lucky because even if there's no money, we're still trying to find ways of getting our message out there.
Now, that being said, it's prefaces my next line of question. American Samoa, okay? You have some you have some citizens from American Samoa they're living in Carson, California, as well as a few, I think, in American Samoa that have filed a lawsuit. Basically, they're considered nationals. They're not U.S. citizens by birthright. They filed a lawsuit that they think will probably be heard within the next 6 months or so regarding the fact that they are American nationals but not considered U.S. citizens, and they want to challenge the Constitution, basically, you know, that says, hey, wait a minute, because we should be U.S. citizens as well. Their governor and their delegate are opposed to that because, as I'm sure you agree that citizenship and status is a political question that should be decided by the indigenous folks of that particular area, territory, what have you, and not a judicial question. We have former leaders that are jumping on board, basically supporting that lawsuit, because if they prevail in that lawsuit, it sets precedents for us and basically, I guess, good for folks who support maybe more closer to statehood, because there's a former governor here that labeled that said if they win that, or that case sets precedents for us, and it could jump over the plebiscite issue.
Yeah. No. So the lawsuit, I'm in favor of it because it is a challenge to the insular cases. I like that because the insular cases more than 100 years old. They basically give the federal government of the United States a lot of rights over its territories. Sure. They can sort of pick and choose what they want to apply to us. They can give, they can take away, and the people in the territories aren't supposed to have any rights.
Sure.
Now, so I like the idea of challenging that, but I'm not in agreement that a court should decide this issue.
Sure,
and
sure.
It does sort of concern me now. I've spoken to Neil Ware, who is sort of on that case, and he has said that this case will not infringe on sort of an act of self-determination, a plebiscite, and so on. And that could be true. The problem, though, is that if this is decided sort of for the defendants, sure. It basically lays out the framework that Guam is on the path to statehood, and it does kind of infringe. It is possible that it could infringe, especially in the U.S. courts.
Sure.
This is in terms of getting the U.S. to acknowledge our right to self-determination and that we should have the right to vote, it's already an uphill battle.
Sure.
The U.S. doesn't like anybody telling it what to do, much less a bunch of people from a small island in the Pacific who want to tell the U.S. this is what we would like for our future. The U.S. doesn't even want to give up that much. And so they're always in a case like this, basically you decide it one way, and it basically says, oh, well, I guess you're moving this direction. And the U.S. says, okay, fine, you can only move in this direction.
This direction, yeah.
And so if we want to argue that we should vote, the U.S. will say, but didn't we decide this? Aren't you guys on the path to incorporation,
sure.
to integration? I thought that's what all of this was about. And so there is that. When I think about sort of leaders jumping onto this, I think part of it is because people are kind of tired of it. People who have been talking about this for a long time are tired of it, and they're looking for any solution.
Wanting something to come to fruition, basically.
Wanting something.
Sure. The governor and the delegate of American Samoa are opposed to it. Basically, they said, the repercussions of the Equal Clause portion there basically says, hey, it might impact their local customs and communal land. And so that could be challenged now, because they're still in the tribal situations there as well. That could dilute all that, could change the complexity of American Samoa. And so, but basically their delegate had introduced a bill in the Congress that said, hey, let our residents, let the people, those eligible to vote in American Samoa decide, because this is forced upon us and we don't want the judicial system to decide for us. Let us decide for ourselves whether or not we want, again, to be U.S. citizens or not. But I tell you what, hold on, and some of your thoughts, I know you're itching to talk more about this, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Dr. Bevacqua.